All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Game 1, Round 2, Stanley Cup playoffs. Tampa Bay Lightning win 4-1 against the President Trophy winning Florida Panthers from down south. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this game, rather quiet. I was expecting more from this series than how it started. So really, first period of play, not a whole lot going on. You know, for two teams that throughout the season have honestly hated each other, not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot of whistles being called, not a whole lot of penalties going on. In fact, throughout this game was kind of a surprise, to be honest with you, that the hits weren't that hard, that there wasn't as much heckling with each other. Even the benches, you know, watching the telecast on television, even the benches really didn't have a whole lot of barking at each other. There wasn't a whole lot of chirping at each other like we've seen in previous series against these two teams. So it's really surprising me how subdued this game really was. So the Lightning go up 1-0. Kind of a surprise goal, but you know, good playing by the Lightning. Really didn't come around really with anything until the third period. The Panthers overall just didn't seem to have the offense that I was expecting. You know, Huberdeau, Barkov, you know, the whole team down there just really didn't have that push like we had seen in the previous series against a very high-flying Toronto Maple Leafs team. And that's why I'm telling Toronto fans over and over again, like, that first round of the playoffs should have been the Eastern Conference Finals, especially with the way that this game was just played. So that's kind of my first takeaway. And then, you know, the third period, obviously the Lightning, they get three power play goals. And I believe it was in the third period. And it, you know, that's when, dare I say it, but the floodgates kind of open up. But again, even when they're down, the Panthers, they didn't push. They didn't get excited. They didn't get the physicality that I was expecting from this team. So very subdued game 1. I'm gonna put it out that way. It's a very subdued game 1. Now, will the rest of the series be this way? Probably not. I think as the two teams start playing each other more frequently, we have another game that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. But my reaction is it was a very subdued game 1. I will say this. I'm glad the call was made by Coach Cooper to challenge that goal, what would have been the second goal by the Florida Panthers that would have tied the game at 2 apiece. You could clearly see just in the telecast that it had bounced off the net. The officiating didn't catch it. Obviously, go for the challenge. It was blatant on network television that it wasn't a goal. It was out of play. The call should have been out of play. So, you know, I'm glad that challenge was done. I was actually surprised, and this is where I'm going to kind of lean into this one. I don't know if the third goal by the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this is just me being honest, this is me being fair, I don't know if that should have been a goal. Because to me, and as a person that played goalie for a very long time growing up, it seemed to me like that would be goalie interference, but it's such a gray area because at the time of contact, right as that shot was being made, at the time of contact, Anthony Cirelli's skates were outside of the blue paint, and Bobrovsky was right on the edge of the blue paint, right? So technically speaking, Cirelli didn't encroach in the goalie crease. He was still outside the goal crease. Now, when Cirelli moved to his right, he got that corner because the edges of the goal crease, kind of corner out. It bows and then corners back. His feet skated across that area, but at that point he had already made contact with Bobrovsky's head, which caused Bobrovsky to move his head to the right, and just before he could pop his head back, the shot was already coming and went right under his glove side. Now, it's a really tough call because I would side on Panthers fans on this one. Normally, because I played as a goalie, I would be contesting to say that that's goalie interference. If it happened to me as a Lightning fan, if it happened to Vasilevsky, I would probably want to be calling that as goaltender interference. But I was surprised the officiating didn't. And I think it's because of that technicality that I was looking at when I was looking at reviewing that video, was that Cirelli's skates were outside of the goal crease. Bobrovsky was not way outside of his net, but he was closer to the front of that goal crease. So it's almost like right at that line is almost like fair game at that point. Was it enough for him to not be able to reset and reestablish himself as a goalie back in the play? No, I think he was still in the right position. The shot did come through on his glove side. If he had lowered down just a little bit, and you could see his hand was coming down in the slow-mo replay, I think if it was just a little bit quicker coming down, I think he could have stopped that puck from going in. But that being said, that's what the officiating reviewed. That's what the league in Toronto had said was a good goal. And the Lightning are up 3-1. And then the Lightning still on the power play because of a potential concussion to Alex Killorn. Lightning continue the power play and again score another goal. So overall, as far as the Lightning play was concerned tonight, I think the Lightning played a pretty complete game. They looked really good on defense. They were disrupting plays. They had pretty good control over in the defensive zone, but they also had control over the neutral ice area. They were doing some really good passing. There's a couple of plays that maybe probably could have been better. A couple of bad passes, one by Cal Foote. There's another couple of bad plays, but overall the Lightning played a pretty complete game. I'd give them probably about an 88% score if I were to go out and just throw that out there. There were some little mistakes, but overall the Lightning looked like the Tampa Bay Lightning that we've known when it comes playoff time, where they just absolutely dominate and basically show why they are a two-time defending Stanley Cup championship team. Where this comes into play has to do with the fans down in Miami or Sunrise or wherever, down south, South Florida. Okay, Tampa Bay has definitely become a hockey town. Even when we're losing, even when the game is just about an absolute blowout, when it's playoff times, you stay for the entire game. And that's something that I have to say, even with those fans in Toronto having to deal with what they dealt with, they stayed the entire game. And that's what a true hockey fan, hockey team is. A fan of the hockey team. You stay to the bitter end, especially in the playoffs. Okay, that's number one. So I was a little disturbed seeing the end of the game as it just finished up and seeing all of these fans, these Panthers fans, with probably 2-3 minutes left in the game, just, okay, whatever, we're done, and just walk out. I just can't fathom that. For one, it's playoff hockey tickets. Like, you better stay to the very end and support your team. That's the big thing, is supporting your team. That's where I was a little upset tonight with Panthers fans. The other thing is even when Toronto, I don't mean to compare towns and cities and whatnot, but even when Toronto was down, their fans were still cheering, "Let's go Leafs, let's go Leafs." They may have been chanting against the referees too. They may have been saying some derogatory things against the refs, but overall, they stayed in the game. They stayed true to their team. They stayed there and supported their team to the very bitter end. That's a true hockey team. That's a true hockey town. They're also an original 6 team, so I've got to give them that. They got a lot of history on their side. Tampa Bay is very close to that, very similar. We stay to the bitter end. Doesn't matter how bad we're losing. We stay to the bitter end. We cheer on our team, especially in the playoffs. Now, during the regular season, it's whatever. But in the playoff time, you stay. You stay and you support your team. You cheer your team to the very bitter end, even in a blowout, which there was a few of them in the Leafs series. We stayed. The fans stayed. They didn't empty out. But Panthers fans did. They also just didn't, I don't know, the overall atmosphere, again, basing this on television, didn't seem exciting down there. It didn't seem like that level of excitement, that electricity that you feel in the building just wasn't there. And that was even when it was tied. When it was tied 0-0 before the Lightning got the first goal, it just didn't feel like there was a lot of, yeah, let's get the crowd going. Let's everybody cheer. It just didn't seem like it was there. It just didn't seem like it was there. And that was pretty much the entire game. Even when the Panthers did have a few pushes here and there, they were on the power play a few times. It just didn't seem like there was a whole lot of passion there. And I'm not saying that Panthers fans aren't passionate. I'm not saying that Panthers fans aren't going to cheer their team. It just didn't feel like it coming from my perspective. And maybe that's because the team is still kind of making their way. They haven't gotten over that hump yet. And I said this, I believe, in my last video. Tampa Bay had to get over that hump. We had to get over that hump of getting to the playoffs, then getting to the next round, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. We make it to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2015 against the Blackhawks and get beat. But then after that, just making it to the Eastern Conference Finals and just not getting there, and then getting swept. After winning the President's Trophy, getting swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that kind of really woke us up. That really woke the team up. I feel like the Panthers are another team that's right there. I think they're the next, one of the next teams up. And that's what I say about the Toronto fans. The Toronto fan base and that Toronto team. Don't change a thing with that Toronto team. I think there's just some skills that just need to be honed in, but there's no changes that needed to be made on that Toronto team. I think next year they're going to be fantastic. Now, whether the Lightning go on and win the Stanley Cup the 3rd time in a row, or we get knocked out of the playoffs, whether it's this round or the next round, or even we get to the Stanley Cup Finals and get beat, whatever happens, happens. But I'll say this. Eventually, the Lightning's time is going to come. Their time's going to pass. They're not going to be as relevant as they were, which is why we're relishing it right now. And eventually, you're going to have other teams that are going to step up and fill that role of being the next dominant team. And I can see the Toronto Maple Leafs for sure filling that role. But I can see the Panthers being that team as well. I could also see Carolina being that team. There's a lot of teams that are kind of filling that role that, you know, the Tampa Bay, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals, and the Boston Bruins once dominated. Now it's going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Florida Panthers, and, you know, dare I say it, but the New York Rangers. I think are going to be the 4 next dominant teams. And they're going to be the ones that you see predominantly the next few years making the playoffs and making pushes and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be the teams to beat in the East. Out West, it's a whole different story. But in the East, those are the 4 teams that I think in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, that's what's going to happen. Is you're going to see those 4 teams kind of take over the role. Now, right now in this game, I think the fan base needs to get more passionate about the Panthers. They are an exceptional team with exceptional talent and really good coaching. They've learned a lot over the years. They've really built a really awesome program. They brought in a lot of really talented, really good players. I don't see why this fan base shouldn't be passionate to the very bitter end of a game especially a playoff game down at home, you know. So especially against a rival team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. The fans that were left in the stand were all Lightning fans. I barely saw Lightning fans in Toronto, but, you know, hey, Tampa Bay is pretty dominant in the state of Florida as far as being a damn good hockey team. And a lot of Tampa Bay fans travel down south to go see those games. So there was quite a few Lightning fans in the stands, which was kind of nice to see. But the fan base for the Panthers, you guys you gotta step up, guys. You really, really have to step up. Show the NHL, show the rest of the league how passionate you are. Just show them how passionate you are. I look at those fans that are in Carolina and how just passionate they are. It's a small market team, and they have an amazing fan base. There's no reason why down south in the Miami, Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area, you can't have that too. You know, hell, if we can make a hockey town out of Tampa, when we were a bottom feeder program for such a long period of time, on the verge of being told to move to another city, and now look at us, 3 times Stanley Cup, 2 times in a row, but 3 times Stanley Cup champions, building a culture all over Tampa Bay. You've got Go Bolts all over the place. You know, people have signs up in their yards, there's billboards, there's banners on the sides of buildings, all over the place. Go Bolts. The culture doesn't happen overnight, but you got to have the fan base that supports it, and our fan base supports it all over the Tampa Bay area, from Sarasota all the way up to Inverness, all the way to the east of, you know, Winter Haven, even Orlando, dare I say it, because the Solar Bear program is Tampa Bay Lightning program, but just going out there. So Florida fans, keep cheering your team, because they need it. That's what was lacking at the end of that game. They knew the fans left. The team knew the fans left. Don't do that to your team. They won the President's Trophy. Don't do that to your team. Don't. Stay to the bitter end. Just please show that team your support. Even when they're down, show them that you're there for them. All right? Anyways, guys, on to game 2. Tampa's up 1-0 in this series. Best of 7 series. See what happens. On to game 2, and then back home in Tampa. So, good luck, guys, in game 2. If you guys like this video, please click the subscribe button. Also, click the like button and click the bell for notifications. If you're here for the running videos, I promise you I will be getting some new videos up here soon. I've got some injuries that I'm taking care of. If you are interested in that, I got some injuries that I'm taking care of. And yeah, it's kind of what's going on there. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos, guys. Thank you guys for watching. This is my, I guess you could say, Lightning fan reaction to the game. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you later.